What's going on, folks? I'm going to show you another method you can use to build up some really nice atmospheres for your ambient, atmospheric drum and bass, any type of tune in the genre. This is a technique I like to use a lot. Obviously, tweak it, make it your own. But what I'm going to do is use a VST here. This is the Korg Triton, and I am also going to plug. I have a new preset pack on the way. This is going to be Intelligent Jungle Pads Volume 2. And it is going to be done in the Korg Triton. So you'll get a little sneak peek of that here today. Very similar sounds to the Korg Wave Station, but just in the Triton world now. And the Triton is just such a good synth. A lot more bright, sparkly, and motion-based sounds in here. So it'll be a great complement to the Wave Station. So when I'm building pads, I've talked about this before, I usually like to take a layered approach where I start with the bass, which is kind of the big fat chord. And typically I want that lower in the frequency range because I like to stack something on top. So first thing I'm going to do is get a minor 9 chord here. We're going to pick a patch, keep it down low. Now, all these presets I'm building, they do have a lot of motion built into them already. And what that means is they're fantastic as chords, but they're also great as just single notes where you can stack them on top of a pad. So here's what I'm going to do first, actually, is I'm going to come into Program, Browse, and we're going to use a stock pad here, one without too much movement, because I want that bottom layer to kind of just... I want the bottom layer to be a little static. I don't want it moving around too much. Let's just go with that. Nice analog pad. Let's record this in. Just get a nice long sustained note. Let's see where we are. Yeah, that's good. So we'll play like an A minor 9. Okay, so that's our bass layer, not a lot of movement, pretty static pad. What I'm going to do is actually soften it a little with a little bit of a high cut. And that leaves room, you can see on the EQ, it leaves room for some nice motion-based synths on the top end of this. So what I'm going to do is duplicate the Triton layer, delete that. And let me double check here again. We're playing an A. So what I want to do on this next layer is flip this EQ around. Now you don't have to do this crazy EQ. You could just pick sounds that kind of fall into place. But this is just to give an example. So I'm going to turn off multi-note now because I don't want to crowd everything either. And you could argue, I guess, if you're using an EQ, it's nothing to worry about. But for the top layer, I like to do single notes. So let's go back into the Triton here. Now we're going to go in to those user patches coming soon. More info soon. And we want to stack something up with the root note from the chord that this first pad here is playing. So we want to play it high up on our keyboard. Let's just throw something in. So we'll go with the birdie spell. Not a lot of movement in that one. So what I did is I opened up the EQ a little bit. It's obviously going to sound pretty thin if you're doing that high pass pretty high up, which may be okay depending on the sound, right? You really just have to experiment with things. I'm thinking this sounds good and kind of balancing out the levels here. So that lower pad, I'm just dropping the volume and bumping up the volume of the high component. So without that high note, we have a pretty static pad. Once we throw in that motion note on top, it adds some movement and really opens up this pad and makes it sound more like a big atmosphere. And if you're crazy, you know this is something I like to do as well, some type of panning on that motion synth up top to really help with the movement. Pan Man by Sound Toys is very good for that, but you can obviously just pan shit in your DAW with automation as well. We could go further and put a delay on this. And I may even saturate that a little bit as well. I'm getting crazy here, getting a little nuts. I don't normally do all this, but okay, let's saturate. We don't want to saturate down on the lower frequencies. Let's just do a little bit up top just to add some more presence, have it cut through the mix. Oh yeah, son. And what you could even do with these top notes, some of them can end up being a little bit atonal. Is that the correct word? But you could potentially play a melody with them. So get a little progression where you keep the bass chord as is, chugging along. And then with that top note, you play some type of progression and key. So if we're A minor 9, is it a C? I think we can go C, right? 1, 2, 3. Let's try it. Here, let's just paint it in because we're lazy. So. Nope, that ain't it. There we go. So you get a little bit of a progression with that top note as well, which can help evolve the song. Even if you can't play keyboard, I can't. It's easy to noodle around as long as you get that root chord in. So I'm just using a multi-note here. You can then just honestly mess around on your keyboard, play stuff, and listen, and you'll be able to tell if it's in key or not. So altogether, if we consolidate everything here, and let me actually, on the high note, have a little overlap. So it kind of fades in and out nicely. And then what I may do with the pad here, let's just have that increase. So if we group these up, maybe we even come in and throw a compressor on here to glue things together. And that's it, folks. So you kind of noodle around with that. And then once you have this framework in place, it's easy to swap out the sounds, right? So on that high note, if you go like, you know what, I don't really like that. Well, I can come in and just swap out and try different things. you get the point, guys. So hopefully that was helpful. Gave you some ideas, ways to approach throwing pads together. All these pads in here on this user bank that I'm showing today. So this set here, I think I have about 12 in here now. Again, these are going to come out soon into another preset pack, this time for the Korg Triton VST. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. Go pick up a Triton if you haven't. It is such a good complement for the wave station. Again, it does those motion sounds, very airy sounding, whereas the wave station's a little more dark and airy sounding. It's just such a good complement. So yeah, all right, peace out. I love you. Goodbye.